between 9 a.m. and 10 a.m. Events occur in real time.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. It's FPC Radio Live. That's right. 2 weeks is over. Vacation is over. We are back here live talking to you about sports. And yes, I know, folks. I know. It's just me on the camera right now. Shield your eyes. Relax a little bit. Get used to it because it's going to be like that all episode because my buddy Mike, I'm going to explain this to you in just a moment. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring him in because I'm going to let him explain it for you. Mike, how you doing, buddy? How's vacation?
La la la. Interesting, bud. Let's just say that for for all intents and purposes. Great to be back. Great to be back on the airwaves here at FPC Radio Live, and interesting couple of weeks, but we're getting through. And yeah, I guess my camera took one look at me this morning after 2 weeks. Yeah, we need more of a break. And that's it. We're not putting you on today. So unfortunately, I am in the here. But you know, you have the brilliant aesthetics of my good friend and co-host over here to get you by, and it'll make your breakfast a little more palatable.
Well, I will say, and I don't know if it's just the camera, but I am a little red. I've gotten a lot of sun over my vacation, so and it's apparently coming through on the camera. So it's kind of weird. It's not your hue. It's not your screen screwing up. I'm just actually, I think I'm a little bit sunburned. So, but no, the reality of it is, you know, Mike, obviously, he over the course of the last couple of weeks, he took a job, and I think he's become, what do they say, a little self-absorbed. So he's a little too big time for us. Yeah, that's right, a little big time. Yeah. So he's negotiating his new fee to appear on camera. So right now we're in the middle. You know, full transparency, we're in the middle of negotiating what it's going to take to get him back, you know, on camera. It might require a bigger part of the screen to fill it up. No, I'm joking, Mike. Obviously, you know, I'm just messing with you. That was just an opportunity for me to play some random '80s music that was stuck in my head. So, you are still big time, though. You are big time with a big head, big head.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, yes. As you may have seen, or some of you may not have seen over the last couple, I did accept a new position. This is that I still remain a part of the FPC family because it'll always be a part of me. It'll always be in me, and it'll always be a place that I am proud to call home. And one of the big reasons why is this great man on the other end of the microphone. He gave me my start in this business, and that's not an easy, you know, thing to do for someone that was, just kind of blogging away and giving it my best shot. Has truly been not just a friend, but someone who a family member, brother. It's been an honor, and it will continue to be an honor. And I think at the same time, we look forward to continuing a friend of partnership that really has been one of the more special points in my life. So thank you that you have done this FPC conglomerate juggernaut. I want to describe it has truly into one of those well-respected sites in sports media, and it's just to continue to be a part of it. So thank you. Yeah, I look forward to the future, buddy.
Well, folks, I appreciate that, my friend, and folks, don't let him fool you. This is his public persona. I assure you, off camera, he's very demanding, and he's really, you know, like I said, big time. No, I appreciate that, and get a little choked up here, you know. Actually, no, that was just the Pop-Tart I ate just moments before we got on camera here because I realized I was hungry. and some of the the shavings, the what do they call the toaster leave-ins are were a bit caught in my throat. Yeah. Anyways, no, obviously, we were off for 2 weeks, primarily because I decided to go on vacation and decided to ditch all of you because I just couldn't take it anymore. No, obviously, I needed a little trip. I decided to drive up north. Mike, I did this trip twice. Both times, I drove straight through, 22 hours. Don't know how I did it. Actually, I was recovering for the last 2 days from the previous trip here because it was just a mess. But I enjoyed doing it, and I was glad I did the drive. Probably won't do it again.
Yeah, 22 hours in a car is tough. I don't know how you're able to do that. I mean, I'm in the car for 2 hours, and my back is real. Be donated to science fiction. So, in a long run, I give you a lot of credit, bud. It's not an easy thing to do, and but I'm glad that you were able to have some fun up here, and it's always expecting that handicap to be PGA Tour ready, and I know Stan the Caddy was alongside you. I know it was, it had a couple of days there where it was the temperature wasn't as warm as you're used to. So you were playing the light jacket sweater. I think that stands advice, isn't it?
I was, yeah, I was a little chilly, my friend. No, look, the weather was phenomenal. It was actually nice to step outside in the sun and not have the heat fully consume my every being, which is what happens down here in Florida some days when you just step outside and you just feel like you're melting, and it's never going to end. No, it was great. I actually got really lucky with the weather, and yes, I'm getting close to that, just like Kramer. Mike, just like Kramer. I just hope that a unfortunate car accident will not injure my important shoulder. So, no, it was fun, and again, the trip itself, the drive itself, wasn't so bad. Any police officers out there, earmuff it for a second. I had the privilege or the opportunity to listen to DVDs as opposed to music the whole time. So I was able to break up the trip very nicely, and I think I alluded to this before, but I watched some Seinfeld, Mike. I watched an entire season of Breaking Bad. I watched several Marvel movies, and I watched the remake of Jumanji, starring The Rock, Jack Black, and Kevin Hart. So it was a good time.
Very nice.
It was a good trip.
Very nice. Yeah. That sounds like good driving accompaniment. A lot of little cross section. Yeah, stuff that'll keep you awake. That's a good thing.
Here's the thing. The very last movie I watched, because I was doing pretty good. Like, I was I was not opposed to stopping during the trip. It was just kind of how I felt at the time, and I felt each time as I was approaching that 7 hours to go, I felt awake. I felt good. Not like the absurd amount of caffeine I had awake. I mean, just awake. So I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna try to power through it. I was pretty good until the last couple hours. You get into Florida, for me, I still have to go about 3.5 hours or so. So, my trip kind of feels like it's over, and then you realize, oh, you actually have still a very long trip ahead of you. So I watched The Rock, not like the wrestler The Rock, but like the movie The Rock with Nicolas Cage and all that stuff. Great movie. I loved it, but kept it full volume, windows down, just to make sure that I kept my wits about me the entire time. I've seen the movie a ton of times. So again, I picked things that I've seen thousands of times. So I have no urge to actually look at the screen. It's just, it's different. It's a nice change of pace as opposed to listening to music the whole time.
Absolutely, definitely is a nice change of pace. Like we said before, you're able to have that type of connection. It keeps you awake, it keeps you engaged, but it's not something that you have to have your eyes transfixed on, because after all, your eyes should be on the road. It sounds like obviously, obviously we're seeing the end result. You're
Don't
safe, you're
don't
sound.
do this.
That's the
Yeah,
important thing. So,
folks, don't do this at home. I
yeah,
do not encourage this. Do as I say, not as I do. All right.
that's right.
Well, okay. So here's the thing. When I got back from vacation, Mike, when I got back from vacation, I expected, based on all the reports, I expected a few things. I expected Julio Jones would be a Patriot. I expected Dante Hightower would retire. I expected that the Brooklyn Nets would be heading to the NBA Finals. And I also expected the Bruins would be still in the playoffs, but that's another story. What to you has been like the biggest story? What have you paid attention to the most? Not necessarily Patriot related, just in general. It doesn't even have to be sports related. What have you been paying attention to the last couple of weeks, my friend?
Well, I mean, obviously, there's question about it. I've been, having my sharp eye closely affixed to that of the New England Patriots, but I think the NBA and the NHL playoffs really, I think, have taken the monster share. We're kind of moving into that lull period in the NFL. The Julio story was a story, but there were times where I started to really expect that this was not the slam dunk that everybody thought it was going to be. There were complications with the contract, and I think the Patriots looked at that and committing that type of financial wherewithal, even though they could do it. I mean, there's no question about it. They weren't strapped by it and didn't have to move money around to be able to make it work. That to me was something that just looked like it was a long shot from the get go. So I wasn't shocked about Julio. I was absolutely 100% and not shocked that Tower was back on the field, that he was engaged. Actually was in on his Zoom conference when he basically looked annoyed to have to answer questions about whether or not he was going to, be a part of the team this year. To me, I thought, those rumors just kind of, blossomed out of, fan fiction, and it just, kind of festered into something that really was never there to begin. But the NHL and the NBA have really had some compelling storylines, whether it be the Islanders giving everything they had after eliminating the Bruins, and being a team that I think a lot of people may have kind of turned a blind eye to, and then really had to pay attention to and look. The Brooklyn Nets obviously bowing out the Philadelphia 76ers. Huge. Exactly. And the Philadelphia
How's that
76ers
process going, by the
now,
way?
of course, they've, I think we've seen, process is almost non-existent. You listen to Joel, he's throwing out on beat. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not a Philadelphia 76ers fan in the least, but, I mean, Ben's just a non-existent factor. And you look at the draft capital that Philly invested to bring him in, and it's just, you look at this now and say, sorry, I'm going to use the word bust. That's exactly what this is looking like. And so those have been the bigger, I think, right now. The NHL and the NBA have really put themselves in the spotlight, especially with the conference finals and the Stanley Cup finals coming up. It's going to be an interesting time and a fun time to watch these two entities go ahead and take hold, because it's fun stuff.
Well, here's the thing. You mentioned Ben Simmons, and I think it was 4 straight games without a attempt in the fourth quarter. It was kind of ridiculous. And there was one point yesterday, I saw it on SportsCenter again this morning. Easy layup, or at least easy opportunity for a layup, and he just passed it up. And it's like, all right, this is a guy that, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's something in Philadelphia, but he's kind of like Carson Wentz. In a way, like he's a high draft pick given a large contract. He still has 3 years left on the max deal that he signed, or maybe 4. I would have to look that up, but that is potentially just kind of broken in this city. Like, I mean, not that he's unsalvageable, because again, we'll see what happens with Carson Wentz in Indianapolis this year. But this is a guy that desperately, I think both he and the team need a change of scenery, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But he is definitely, his stock is quite low at the moment.
Yeah, without question, it absolutely is quite low, and you have to think about, either trade value or what this is going to do to the internal chemistry of the Philadelphia 76ers. They face a very interesting offseason, a real task for that front office to be able to put the pieces back together and maintain that type of contention that they've been having for the last couple years. Because for all the team on paper that really should be in the mix for a run in the Eastern Conference, but chemistry wise and just players disappearing when they need to really step up is huge. And you can't say enough about that. The Boston Celtics are definitely going to be the Kemba Walker deal and things of that nature that are going to put them back into the cross in terms of what Brad Stevens is going to be able to do with this team, who they bring in as the new head coach. A lot of storylines coming in the NBA right now, and of course, the Phoenix Suns continue to be a very feel good story. The Atlanta Hawks heading to the conference finals. That's pretty big for them. That's it's a huge shot in the arm for a team that has mired, and this is going to be a fun opportunity for people that are fans of the NBA, that we're tired of seeing the same teams over and over. This should be a fun finals. They get to the finals and see who's.
Well, who I know isn't going to the finals, and John Sapichetti earmuff it. It's LeBron James, and we're going to talk to him later in the week about this, because I can't wait to razz him a bit about this. Not that I'm a sore winner or sore loser or anything like that. I just like to remind him that that his guy did not quite make it. But no, when it comes to the Celtics specifically, this kind of puts in perspective just the way the landscape of this whole playoff season has kind of unfolded so far, and who's left, and who's been knocked out. The Celtics are still in a very, very good position, and if you want to believe some of the reports that came out about some of the tension between Kemba Walker and Brad Stevens at times, and some of the animosity that might have existed between the two, you can, and it would make sense as to why he got traded so quickly, or it's just a situation where they felt like, well, if you can bring back Al Horford, his value, maybe not at a all-star level, is more valuable to you than Kemba Walker, who the contract wasn't terrible. It's just he wasn't healthy enough to really fulfill it. So again, this is a start to an off season that is going to be pretty interesting for the Celtics. Obviously, like you mentioned already, trying to find a head coach is a top priority. But what type of team are they going to put around the two J's? And
Right.
kind of just see how they evolve from here. Because as bad as people think it is, I mean, this is a team that still got to 3 conference championships, and conversely, you look at the 76ers, who everyone thought finally this was the year that they became so much better and really took that next step. Well, they got knocked and booted in the second round again. They haven't been to a conference final since what they say 2001 or something like that. So it's become quite that's the Allen Iverson era of the 76ers. So it's been quite a while for the 76ers, and going forward, the Celtics might be in a pretty good opportunity, pretty good shape against the rest of the talent in the league, or especially in the conference.
Absolutely. Yeah, without question. I mean, this team right now has an identity crisis. And again, this is going to be a huge offseason for them in terms of being able to build themselves back up, see what is going to be their plan for the future? Does this mean certain players? Does this mean bringing new players in? There's going to be some changes in Philly in that roster this offseason. I think there's going to have to be, and it really is going to be beginning and ending with Ben Simmons. I mean, his trade value right now is very, very low. The Sixers would have to take pennies on the dollar. Is it necessary enough for them to move him just to get him out of there and get new blood in to be able to salvage? Philly may be, they may decide that it is. And if they do, I don't think there are a lot of people that can necessarily blame them, with the exception of Sixers fans that are going to be upset with all of the money and the capital that they've invested in him. But sometimes you have to fish or cut bait, and I think that at this point, it should at least be on the table for Philly. But I'm glad you mentioned the points on Boston. It's going to be an interesting offseason for them as well. The two Jays are obviously the future now, with Brad now in the general manager seat, Danny Ainge gone. Now this team becomes molded in his image, and now we're going to get a chance to see what his vision of this team is going to be. And at the end of the day, it's going to be fun to watch a new coach and a new approach here in Boston, and see what type of team they're going to be able to field as well.
Switching over to the NHL real quick, because I do want to comment on this. I obviously already kind of begrudgingly mentioned that the Bruins did not make it as far as I had hoped or thought, or any of those things. What's worse is I don't think I like any of the teams remaining. Yeah, of course, I know, I get it. Like, you can always find something, some rooting interest somewhere, and I'm trying to. Like, I'm really trying to, but I can't. I can't. Like, I hate the Canadians with every ounce of my being. And then I say this, again, as a fan of the Bruins, so there's a full transparency here. And again, Canadians fans feel the same way about Bruins fans. It's just how life goes. Obviously, Tampa is a rival of the Bruins, so I'm not really finding any rooting interest there. The Islanders obviously just knocked out the Bruins, so that's kind of tough. And then you have the Golden Knights, where okay, all right, maybe the Golden Knights, but I don't know, man. This is tough as a fan, of course, not as a objectionable. Objectionable. I don't know what I'm thinking, saying objectionable, but you know what I'm saying. And as an objective a reporter or writer, I can find obviously good things about what's remaining here. That's
Right.
not at stake. It's my personal rooting interest as a fan of the sport, as a fan of the Bruins. It's been kind of tough. I'm not going to lie.
I absolutely can agree with you on that. I mean, when the Bruins win, naturally, I'm not an NHL reporter or cover BC. Yeah, in the past,
I was sitting
Bruins,
at a
but
bar in
far
Amherst.
from, far from correct to say it. Exactly. So at that point, it takes the wind out of your sails, and it certainly has for me with the NHL playoffs as well. But it's difficult as a fan when you have no rooting interest or any type of compelling storyline. We mentioned in the NBA that the Phoenix Suns are kind of a feel-good story right now, and even the Atlanta Hawks to a certain degree. I think a lot of people are looking to see, well, these guys haven't been in contention for a while, so let's see what they got. It'll be good to see what they're able to do, and if they can make some noise and
Yeah, I'd love to
come
see Atlanta have
a strong run. Yeah, yeah, um, exactly. And with the NHL, the way that they're constituted right now, when it takes away that rooting interest, and you really don't have that type of. And believe me, I know there are fans, the Jump or the Islanders who haven't had it in a while, but it's something to keep an eye on. I think in a lot of ways that really is the find something interesting, then it's going to.
Here's a question for you. Would you rather root for the Canadians, or be a not necessarily an extra, but a part-time character in the movie Jaws, which premiered on this or yesterday. What was it? 20 or 30, 40, somebody, whatever the year is. I can't necessarily remember. That's the what if, Mike. Are you going to get eaten by a shark or root for the Canadians? Tell me. What are you going to do?
I'm going for the shark. I'm for the shark. And right now, my good friend Alan Popart, if he's listening to this, is going, "Oh, come on, man." No, he's no, seriously. I'm a Bruins fan, born and bred, and to root for the Canadians is just sacrilegious at this point. Yeah, I'm going with the shark. 46 years ago was Jaws.
Yeah, 40. That's what it was. I should have I should have double checked my math before I tried to do it off the top of my head. I'm an idiot.
Yeah. Unreal. It's an amazing, and for a movie that still has tremendous popularity. Obviously, the 4th of July coming up, and that's going to be a big story, or a big story. That's going to be a big watched movie throughout that period. It's part of my 4th of July ritual. I always watch, Jaws every single year. So definitely going to have to put that one in and watch it. But all kidding aside, it's always a fun ride to watch that movie, and I could go back and say that I was a part of it. Yeah, I would love to, even if it meant being eaten by a shark. So yeah, I'm going shark, and in real life, I think on that one, I'm going with that.
Yeah. Now here's the thing. Let's dig a little deeper here. Now, are you going to get swallowed whole, or do you want the full experience of just getting like bit in half, or getting like half your body ripped off, or something like that? Do you want to like go full on like that, or just swallowed, digested? You get the picture. I think we lost Mike. That question knocked him off the connection.
If it's the same size as the shark and this shark swallow you whole. Size as the shark in Jaws, then probably this shark you whole. I think that probably is the better way to go. Who would want to be chewed to bits? One motion.
Folks, well, obviously, I think, again, Mike's connection, the question itself has really got him rattled, apparently. But no, it's obviously we're having a little bit of an issue with his connection. It's a little choppy coming in and out. So the rest of the week, though, we are obviously going to be diving back into everything normal. Getting back from vacation obviously was a big step, and now it's really time to hit that grind, even as we head towards the 4th of July weekend and holiday. John Sapichetti is going to join us later in the week at some point. We're going to talk some basketball. Obviously, I'm going to razz him a bit about LeBron. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into Julio Jones heading to the Titans and what that means for the rest of the NFL, the AFC South, and of course, perhaps the Falcons, who are looking like a team that has a different, a weird direction, to say the least. And then, of course, the ongoing Stephon Gilmore contract dispute with the Patriots will obviously be something we keep a very sharp eye on. So thank you, everyone, for joining us today. I know we're going to cut it a little bit short, but again, Mike is having a little bit of issue with the microphone, so we don't want to continue with a choppy show. So we're going to try to get that fixed and get it ready for tomorrow. And hopefully Mr. Big Time will be back on camera tomorrow as well. So as to save you from just staring at me for 45 minutes to an hour. We don't want that. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow. It will be 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. We're confident Mike's going to be on camera. We're going to have a lot of fun. So thank you, everyone. Give us a follow on Twitter at FPC Radio Live. I am at IGLEN31. He is at MDABATE NFL. Give him a follow. Give us a follow. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a great day.